And I'm not even talking, I was muted. Technical difficulty, it is so wrong. So anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Angelina Sáenz. I am the host of La Palabra Poetry. And thank you for joining us for 20 minutos of poetry. We are with Avenue 50 Studio, and this program is funded by the LA City Cultural Arts Department. So, we're so happy to be able to have this opportunity today to have Bridgette Bianca share her poetry. I'm so happy to have Bridgette here. To be honest with you, the other day I was scrolling through my phone. It's weird. I keep a list of names of people who have been influential in my life and have really made a difference. And your name was on that list, Bridgette. I was going to add somebody to it. And it's not actually just a list about my life, it's a list about in my children's life. It's a running list I keep, and your name was on there, right? Because I met you when I was in my MFA program, and you were just a force that helped me manage being in that MFA program, my life as a mother, my life as a teacher, my life as an emerging poet. And you really held me together for the 2 years that I was there. And you made all of the difference. I mean, all of the difference of basically that I wasn't crazy. Because I was like, am I crazy? What's going on here? So, you were a driving force of like, you're not crazy, you're beautiful and you're wonderful and you deserve to be here, and your voice matters. So, and you're a force to be reckoned with, and congratulations on your book coming out. I always wanted your work on paper so that I can go back and refer to it. So I will go ahead and read your bio. And Bridgette Bianca is a poet and professor from South Central Los Angeles. When she is not sharing her own poetry at venues all around Southern California, she co-curates 2 literary series, Making Room for Black Women and the Women's Center for Creative Work reading series. Be Trouble with Writ Large Press is her debut collection of poetry. So, amiga, you have 20 minutes. Take it away. It's all yours. And we'll be here listening to you. Thank you so much, Bridgette Bianca.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I realized I haven't been to La Palabra in a year, since last December. Remember, I had on antlers. Right. I was all glittery and pink. And
it was a big fiesta. We were celebrating.
And I stuck around later for churros on the street. I was like, I'm having a good time. That was a great memory. Oh my gosh. So I want to read some new things and old things, like a mix of all kinds of stuff. I'm going to actually read some near love poems first, because I never read those unless I'm at La Palabra. That was the last time I read a love poem out loud, was at La Palabra. And then some older stuff too, but just a mix of things. So let me start my timer so I can stay on time. So these first couple of poems, some of them are going to be published this Tuesday, or Monday actually, with Airlight magazine out of USC. So I'm excited to see those out in the world. I'm actually publishing love poems. Who would have thunk it? And a couple of these are just on Instagram because that's where I like to tell the truth. Okay, the first poem is called, Does This Spark Joy? My therapist says, I may not be a hoarder, though I collect things, many of which I don't need or never use. Excess, wasteful things, and they crowd around me, providing neither warmth nor shelter. She says because I don't feel pain when I lose them or give them away, or when they turn to dust in my hands before I have a chance to decide which to cherish. I think she might be right about the things, but what of the people I collect? Many of which I don't need or never use, the excess, the wasteful things crowded around me, providing neither warmth nor shelter. I feel the pain when I lose them, when I give them away, when they turn to dust in my hands before I have a chance to decide which to cherish. But do they bring me joy? The next poem is called Every Dead Black Boy Looks Like Somebody I Know, and it's part love poem and part just social justice wonderings. Every time I see another Black man killed, either by the hands of the state or by the hands of other brothers or by other people in general, they always look so familiar. You look like you could be my uncle's son. Who your people? If I angle my head just right, I swear I've seen the set of your jaw when you're focused on the road. Wasn't it just last Christmas when I laid the place setting for every gap between your teeth? I'm sorry to disturb you. It's just, I could have sworn I knew you from somewhere, but then again, every dead Black boy looks like he was just in my arms, solid and warm and safe. And here's a poem that's going to be published with Airlight on Monday. I may not be the sun. Maybe I'm the moon, and sometimes make the mistake of thinking I'm the only moon in the universe just because I see how the tide moves beneath me. Now I'm talking in metaphors to make myself feel better, as if anything ever moved beneath me, as if anyone ever looked up into my face and thought of the future. And another called Charade. I say, okay, because stay sounds selfish. But sometimes stay sounds like, what do you need? Have you eaten? When was the last time you slept? Do you want to talk about it or us or anything? Do you want me? Do you want me to keep talking so you don't have to think about it or us or anything? Do you want me to fill the silence or hold it close or you close? You know, I don't want you to leave me. If I thought I was enough to keep you here, I would say, I love you. Sometimes sounds like stay, but sometimes I love you sounds like goodbye. So I say, okay, because I'm not ready for the way that sounds yet. Another short one. I have to say this now, before I cannot get the lonely unstuck from the roof of my mouth, before every word tastes like your name, sour or a sickly sweet, and sorry as usual. Poems are where I tell the truth. My friends ask me if I'm okay. Poems are the only time I tell the truth. I say yes, so they won't worry. Sometimes it feels like everything I'm doing is for nothing. And I ask them if they are okay. Turn down the fire and place a top on my pot to simmer. I have always been good at other people's problems. I tend to what they've brought to boil before it bubbles over, watching closely. Maybe this time I will burn. Another short one. Isn't it enough? Why do we say I love you when we really mean I'm sorry? Forgive me, please. I love you. Sometimes I say mean things to you because I'm afraid. I lied to you to prove to the universe, to myself, your every waking mood doesn't dictate my own. I am a liar. I love you. And I am sorry about that too. Sometimes I want to feel needed, so I make you miss me. I forget, though you were crafted and sent to this earth just for me, that you were also crafted and sent for yourself. And sometimes that feels like betrayal. So I curse you instead of God, because the hurt in your eyes says, I love you. And I am sorry about that as well. Sometimes I do dumb shit, not to hurt you, but to hurt myself. How could I deserve you? I love you. And I am sorry about that the most. So those are a few love poems, or near love poems, as I say, because I'm not really good at writing love poems, as you can tell. But it's important to get the feelings out when you can. Here's a poem recently published by Cultural Weekly called They Shot Jacob, on Kobe's birthday. And I found it to be important now as we end the year and think about all the many things that have crossed our paths and changed our lives. I know that for some of us, we are joyous and happy that Jacob Blake survived his encounter, but he still had an encounter. And I don't know if necessarily survival simply means living anymore. And so here's the poem. They shot Jacob on Kobe's birthday. And I wonder where Jacob's people were from before the Great Migration carried them north. Maybe they from down around K River like my people. Blake is a family name for me. I am but one Black man removed from being Bridgette Bianca Blake. That man, a young bull who married a baby doll, a Blake who turned out 7 youngins, 4 boys and 3 girls, one of which, my mother, took my father's last name, who has his mother's last name, and I never knew his father, a Black man removed before I even knew he was in this world. And Kobe was my father's favorite. And when he was a Black man removed from this world, my father whispered, he felt like my son. And he mourned a man he never met but watched grow up on television. I wonder what will happen to the youngest Bryant girls when they grow up and watch Kobe on television without him in this world and realize they never really knew their father, will never teach them to fly with a basketball like Gigi, who flew with him that Sunday morning. And who will teach Jacob's sons how to fly? Will they remember their father, like Christopher Reeves, is still Superman, even from a chair? Will they ever forget 7 is the number of completion? On the 7th day, our Father, which art in heaven, rested, and it was a Sunday. Kobe's birthday was a Sunday, and he died on a Sunday. And maybe Jacob taught them to call on ancestors to guide them to yell Kobe when they took a paper shot at a waste basket. And it was a Sunday when the officer took 7 shots into Jacob's back in front of his son's faces, pressed against the window or the floor of the car, too scared to call on the ancestors or to believe Superman could save them. And so that one is for Kobe and Jacob and their children. All right, so I'm going to read some old favorites and then end with a new one. Okay, this poem actually I wrote for La Palabra a couple years ago for a really well-themed event that Angelina did called Wakanda Without Question, I believe it was called. And so with Chadwick Boseman's passing, really like hitting me super heavy. Like I felt like I lost a person. I mean, literally this year's all been about loss, honestly, but I know I've lost many people close to me, and losing a person that wasn't my family, but felt like a part of our kind of global family really sent me somewhere. So I'm so glad that Angelina's event made me write this poem, and so glad that I got a chance to put this poem in my book. So thank you so much for that. This poem is called Some Heroes Wear Their Do-Rags with the Capes Flapping. It's the last poem in Be Trouble. This is how Black people have survived. Part 1. The colonizers' greatest mistake was underestimating our power. All they needed to see was a talented attempt to know that we were too dangerous, to be left unregulated, unfiltered, unconquered, and so they did, or so they thought. But we still here, still David and his sling, still Harriet and her rifle, still John Henry with the hammer, still Jesse Owens whooping a Nazi's ass, still Ollie whooping Uncle Sam's ass, still Michael Jackson on the moon, still Katherine Johnson with the math, still Michael Jordan with the rock, still Dr. King taking a knee, still Kaepernick taking a knee, still Rosa Parks taking a seat, still Mahalia raining down heaven, still Richard Pryor raising hell, still Fred Hampton with the bullhorn, still Octavia with the pen, still Malcolm X headed to Mecca, still Chadwick at the Mecca, still Ta-Nehisi at the Mecca, still Morrison at the Mecca, still Zora when she's laughing, still Zora when she's looking mean and impressive, still Barack Obama on the Capitol steps, still Audre Lorde reminding us that she is not free while any woman is unfree, even if her shackles look like Cuban links, still Asada in exile, still Langston in Paris, still Baldwin in Paris, still Josephine in Paris. The time for running has come to an end. Stokely Carmichael said, tell them all the scared niggas are dead. We still child to the bullshit. We still Jesus on third day. As you can see, we are not dead. This is how Black people have survived. Part 2. The colonizers' greatest mistake was underestimating our resilience. We've been minding our own business and mining something stronger than vibranium. Reaping and sowing something better than king cotton. We've been digging for something blacker and slicker than oil. What's understood don't need to be explained. Put some respect on our name. We are Wakanda. We ain't never been conquered. We've been Wakanda. Death is better than bondage, but you can't chain us no matter how hard you try. You can't kill us all, and you can't beat this black off us. And you can't shoot this black off us. And your walls ain't high enough to keep us out. And your jails ain't tight enough to keep us in. February ain't long enough to get us right. We be Wakanda. Just because we be magic don't mean we don't be real. This ain't no superpower. This is a black power, and all power to the people, peace and freedom to the world. So again, I'm really happy that Angelina's event caused me to write that poem, because I don't think I can write a poem like that right now, to be honest. It's probably the happiest poem in my entire book, but I'm glad that I have it. Another piece I want to read from Be Trouble is dedicated to the Proud Boys, who have gone into my precious Washington, D.C., and caused a ruckus. They're burning flags pulled from Black churches, harassing and attacking people in the street. If you don't know who the Proud Boys are, they're a white supremacist terrorist group in America. And they're not very organized. They're actually fighting each other a lot of the time on the street, which is quite interesting for me to see. White on white crime, as it is. But this poem is for them and others like them. Was it good for you? Like blood on dry ground. But the world stopped when our eyes met. He moved slowly, uncertain of my intentions, but I kept my pace, my heart racing. His shirt read, "The South shall rise again." The words framing a faded Confederate flag across his chest. If the South rose again, it would be brown fingers pushing up through the soil, brown legs jumping down from poplar branches, brown arms lifting themselves out of swamps, brown eyes staring out from tar slick patches, brown bodies reforming from the ashes. If the South rose again, it would be my ancestors returning to slit your throat. Cane River would jump its banks, the levees would not hold from the rush of your blood, and my children would splash and play in it with smiles on their brown faces. And so that's what the Proud Boys, in case they were wondering what the Confederate flag means to me. So I'm going to end with a new poem, a newish poem, dedicated to everyone who's thinking about reaching out to their single Black friends they have, the one or two you have in your company, and asking them how they're doing during times such as these. I'm going to say don't do that, and instead wonder to yourself about that, and then just simply be a good friend to them without the caveat. And so this poem is called White Knuckled Emails, which is a very funny title to me. Might not be funny to other people. I don't know. My knuckles don't turn white when I get excited because I'm brown, but you know, that's neither here nor there. White knuckle emails from white people. I heard something really bad happened to a Black person, and then I remembered you were a Black person and maybe you might know them. Wait, is it racist to think that Black people know each other? I mean, I saw their skin. It was a lot like yours. Not that I'm saying all Black people look alike, but I'm saying I saw Black people on the news getting pepper sprayed, and I wondered if you were out there because I couldn't pick you out of a lineup. I mean, a crowd. I mean, I can't tell you apart from the other Black lady in the hallway whose name I called you the last time we spoke. At least I think it was you. The state, I mean, the virus is killing Black people. The news said it has to do with institutionalized racism. I mean, pre-existing conditions in vitamin D and melanin. My daughter taught me to say melanin, to say diversity, to say people of color and not colored people. Of course, I would never say colored people. My father used to say he knew some very fine colored people, but my daughter, she said, "Papa, that's not nice to say. Now you say African American," and he voted for Obama both times. And it's a shame how all of those businesses will suffer. I mean, what would Dr. King say? Violence against harmless and defenseless property is not the answer. Not saying that you would steal, but I heard that's what happened in your neighborhood when you were a little girl. Is it racist to ask you if you feel safe in your neighborhood? Maybe you should call the police if you see anything suspicious, like a Black boy in a hoodie, or a Black girl mouthing off, or a Black person outside after curfew, or outside at all, or just a Black. do you think when all this is over and we find a vaccine for racism, I mean the virus, I mean when we don't see color anymore, that we can go back to normal, back to when bad things happen to a Black person? And I didn't think about it, and I didn't think about you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I'm sharing poems again with La Palabra. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. You know, the love poems, they reminded me of Kendrick Lamar's song, Pride. And just, you know, I think something that I'm definitely kind of exploring is like, what is our history as a people influence on how we love each other, right? In friendship and romance, and what obstacles does it create? So I'm not sure if that's what you intended, but there were just some lines in there, like, you know, I love you as goodbye, I love you as stay, right? It's just, it gets really crazy, and I'm really connecting the dots that has to do with our histories of separation, our history, all the interference for us to be able to be together and love each other, right? So thank you for those poems. That was really amazing. The Proud Boys, I was like, damn, play in the river of your blood. Wow, that was something else. So anyway, amiga, thank you so much for being here, Bridgette. I really appreciate it. And, you know, you're such a leading force in Los Angeles, right? And you just keep mentoring folks. You're unstoppable in mentorship. And, you know, congratulations on tenure at Santa Monica City College. I've loved your, what is the title of your tenure series? What do you call that?
Young Black and Tenure Track.
That's right, Young Black and Tenure Track. Are you still doing those? I miss those.
I'm going to start a new series called The Black Professor, right, now that I have tenure.
Yeah. So anyway, amiga, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for taking a part of your day to join us. And next week, we're going to have Prop Hip Hop Propaganda as our poet. And he's deep. I just recently heard him read, so I'm really happy to have him. Have an amazing Sunday, everybody. Bridgette, I love you. And all of the people here, thank you for joining us. And next Sunday will be our last of the autumn series, so please do come back and join us. Feliz tarde. Adios.